It's the Happy Families Podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I can't wait for today's I'll Do Better Tomorrow, Kylie. I've got the best I'll Do Better Tomorrow ever. Like, literally the best ever.
I can't wait for it either because I'm lying on the ground while we do this. I don't have a chair.
We've cleaned out my office. We're waiting on a new chair and you're literally on the ground. You actually don't have the same energy you normally do. You sound a little bit too laid back.
Oh, yeah, I could go to sleep
No.
now.
All right, so for those of you who are new to the podcast, what we do every Friday is we talk about how we want to do better tomorrow. We review the week that was. We look at either what we did really well or we look at, what we didn't do so well and how we can be better parents. Tricky thing, especially with me, Kylie, over the last few weeks. My job is to make other people's families happier, which sometimes means leaving our family so that I can go and do that. And I don't think it's any exaggeration to say that while I've always traveled a reasonable amount, over the last couple of weeks, maybe the last couple of months, I've probably traveled more than at any other time in our lives, which makes I'll Do Better Tomorrow really tricky. I haven't got a lot to say.
Well, you said you've got an awesome one today.
I do. In fact, I want to mention two things. First of all, last Saturday night, I had a really tough night, but also a really meaningful and important night. I spoke at Lifeline's annual Gala ball. I don't know how many people were in the room. I'm going to guess somewhere around 1,000 people at the International Conference Centre at Darling Harbour, looking out over the harbour and the city. It's just such a stunning venue, such a gorgeous room. And I was asked to give the after-dinner speech on a night where Lifeline does their very best to raise as much money as possible. Kylie, did you know, if you were to guess, how many calls would you imagine that Lifeline receives on an annual basis? Last year, by the way, they had the most calls they've ever had.
I wouldn't have a clue. I'm guessing it would be in the tens of thousands.
Oh, yeah, keep going.
Oh, hundreds.
Keep going.
Wow. No, I can't even begin. Are we talking like 1 million?
Yeah, we are. We're talking over 1 million, a little over 1 million calls every single year. That translates to, wait for it, 3,000 telephone calls per day.
Wow.
I get goosebumps just talking about it. The numbers are absolutely astonishing. If you work that out, 3,000 calls a day means that there's a call to Lifeline every 28 seconds. That there's somebody, I get weepy about it, there's somebody in crisis every 28 seconds who says, I need someone to talk to. I don't have anyone to talk to, so I therefore have to call Lifeline. I have to call and talk to a stranger either because I don't have someone or I can't talk to the people who are close to me. So in terms of having an important conversation, I can't think of a more important group of people to talk to than Lifeline. And all of their sponsors, all of their volunteers, well, sorry, not all of them, but many of their sponsors and contributors were there, and it was a big fundraising night. And I was asked to speak about the death of Logan, our nephew, in November last year. Hardest talk I've ever given. Without question, hardest talk I've ever given. And it meant leaving you again. We had a daughter's birthday on Friday, so I flew home from Sydney so that I could be there for her birthday on Friday, so that I could fly back to Sydney to speak at the Lifeline ball, so that then I could fly home for Father's Day, so that I could fly back to Sydney because I had an event at Bangor Primary School in Sydney's south on
Someone didn't
on
plan
Monday.
that very well, did
Oh
they?
my goodness, who put Father's Day right and our daughter's birthday right in the middle of all of these events in Sydney that I was doing? We saw so much money raised for Lifeline that night, it was so gratifying, and that mainly happened off the back of my talk. So I gave the talk, which is obviously designed to help people to recognise the importance of this service. And while that's not an I'll Do Better Tomorrow for our family or what we're doing in our family, it's just over the last few weeks, I've had the opportunity to speak to some of the most important and wonderful people that I've ever spoken to in my entire life, in my entire career. And I'm so grateful to do the work that I do. And I'm also so grateful for the incredible people who are out there doing the work that they do, because there are so many good people out there. Just an amazing experience.
It was a really, really big night, and unfortunately, I was stuck at home with the kids.
Yeah, you're doing the parenting.
Not stuck, but I didn't get to.
It would have been nice if you were with me.
I didn't get to be there with you, but
yeah.
I'm curious about what your second story is.
Oh, well, my second one is about Father's Day. So I came home. I arrived in the afternoon. By the time I flew out of Sydney, got back home, the day was half gone, but we got to spend some really nice time with the family. And I just think we're doing Father's Day better than ever.
I was going to say, you need to preface, I don't think you've had a Father's Day that you have thoroughly enjoyed.
No.
In all the time you've been a father.
And there's a whole lot of complexity and a whole bunch of reasons around that. And I've got really low expectations, honestly, but we've just never quite gotten it right. But this Father's Day was probably the best.
Is it because you had zero expectations this time?
Low expectations equals happiness. No, I think we just got it right. I mean, I came home and there was time with you. There was time with the kids. There was no pressure. It was a really, really nice couple of hours, and then we went over to our eldest daughter's house.
This is literally the first time she's hosted family dinner in her home.
Yeah, it was so great. And we sat down and she and Jared, her husband, and Indy, our granddaughter, gave me my Father's Day gift, which was just so nice. And inside there was a little tree from with Indy's handprints in green as the leaves of the tree, which was super clever, and a gorgeous little message. And there was also a great big handprint. And the message on that little tree from Indy, or well, it was really from Chanel, said, "No matter how tall I grow, I'll always look up to you." I mean, we've heard that one a lot. It's trite. And yet when you're a dad and you get that, you just go, "Oh my goodness, it's so nice." But then there was this other piece of paper, and it's got this great big hand. Like it's a hand that's bigger than mine. Well, it's about the same size, maybe a touch bigger than mine. And it's in blue. And it says, "Happy Father's Day, Justin." And I look at the bottom before I read the rest of it, and it's Jared, our son-in-law.
And he's put his age next to it.
Yeah, he's written Jared, 26. and he's written, "Dear Justin, oh, happy Father's Day, Justin. I love your jokes. I love our steaks. I love our breakfast dates. I love you." And I read that and I just went, that's so nice. But then I feel really bad about it. And I've actually texted him about it and apologized because he spelled jokes, the O looks like a U, and he wrote the word steaks wrong and had to sort of...
So what you didn't know is that he was literally writing it as we drove in the driveway and the paint was still wet.
In spite of that, I gave him a bit of a hard time about it. It was so sweet. It was so beautiful, so nice that he did it. And I did express my appreciation, but I couldn't help just some good-natured ribbing about his spelling and about his writing. But I got a text from him the following day, and I want to read it to you because I'm kind of speechless. I'm just going to read it to you and then I'll give you my reaction. He said, "I was attempting to write this on my handprint for your Father's Day letter, but Indiana was taking more of my attention than I'd anticipated, but I figured no harm in sending it as a text either. Happy Father's Day to Australia's #1 father-in-law. Justin, I'm constantly in awe of your passion and your unwavering commitment to making the world a better place. Your drive is truly unmatched. The example you set for me to be a great father is the greatest gift any father could give to a son-in-law." He said, "I appreciate the time and effort you invest in our relationship, the laughter, kind words, and the advice you so freely share. Thank you for being such an active and loving poppy to Indiana. We always look forward to our visits with you. Our little family has come so far because of the sacrifices you've made for us." And then the clincher. He said, this is my son-in-law. He's 26 years old, long hair, goatee, electrician, wears the fluoro gear. And I mean, he's a big guy. He could bench press me all day long. The last paragraph, he says, "I love you, Justin. Happy first Poppy's Day. I'm so proud to call you my father-in-law." And Kylie, I mean, I'm getting weepy reading it. But when I received that text, I just thought, I mean, I love your dad. I'm so grateful for him. He's a good man. But in the 26 or 20, whatever years it is that we've been married now, I should get that right, shouldn't I? 26 and a half, 27 years that we've been married. I can't imagine ever sending him a text like that. And here's this great kid that's married our eldest daughter, and he's telling his father-in-law that he loves him and that he's so proud to have him as a father-in-law. And I feel like it's a peak moment in my life. And I know it's very, very personal to share on the podcast. And yet, when I think about what I'll Do Better Tomorrow is all about, it's about creating a family so that you can have those moments. My reaction was one of I put myself in those shoes and thought, I can't imagine sending that message or giving that message to my father-in-law. And I feel so rich as a recipient of that gift.
I think that was the real joy of Father's Day this year, was just reaping. I don't want to use the word reward, but reaping the goodness that has come from all of those years of sacrifice and hard with our children.
And it has been hard. This has not been one of those charmed relationships from day dot. I mean, in the early days, when I was a bit upset about some things that were going on when they just started dating, he was... I mean, Chanel tells the story that he wanted to beat me up.
Yeah.
and as we were having a conversation, he said, well, you might have some book smarts, but you don't really know what's going on. I mean, it was an acrimonious, antagonistic relationship. It was not good.
As we've been doing some renovations in the house, we've talked about wanting to create this miracle wall with photos of moments in time. And as I was thinking about it, I happened to be looking at Chanel and Jared's wedding photos, and Jared looked over my shoulder and he said, "That's the first time we hugged."
At the wedding?
You and him was the first time you'd hugged at the wedding. And it was just, that's an instant moment of goodness there. And I want that on my miracle wall. Like that's a healing moment in our lives. It's such a beautiful reminder of all that's good, but also a combination of understanding and knowing how we got there.
The take-home message is love. We made a decision when we saw how acrimonious and how challenging and even how capricious the relationship was becoming. We made a challenge to reverse that by loving unconditionally, by literally saying, no matter what, we've got them. No matter what, we will love them. No matter what, they've got our support. No matter what, we will find a way to show that our love for them is bigger than any issue that can come up. And it has been, I mean, they've been married now for 5.5 years or something like that. And it took a good couple of years to make the progress. But the last 5.5 years have just been delightful. And here's to many, many, many more. That is my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Now, I have to apologise. I've taken a lot of time in our podcast episode. You have approximately 90 seconds.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, considering it was just Father's Day, I'm going to let you have the limelight.
Right, okay.
You can take all the time. It's okay.
Okay. You know what? I'm not going to fight you on it because I want to make sure that our podcast sticks to the time. It is the podcast for the time poor parent who just wants answers now.
Well, just know that when I've got a really awesome story, I won't let you speak.
I'm looking forward to that next week because I've got another week of travel and I don't know if I'm going to have anything to share. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Justin, we just love your work. We're so grateful for what you do. Thank you for being a wonderful, wonderful podcast producer. If you'd like more information about making your family happier, check out the range of products that we've got at happyfamilies.com.au and have a fabulous, fabulous weekend.